The issues discussed on the Roll Call Room podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. Any characters discussed on this show may be fictional for comedic value unless you're a shitbag Steve. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised.
If there's anything in life that you don't currently have right now, it's because of who you are and how you think. What I need you to do is I need you to find a reason to keep going. And if you can find a reason to keep going, I know you're strong enough to do it because you're human. Every human has what it takes to get past whatever they're going through if they decide to. Push through it. Push through it. Tragedy and trials come to everybody. Only the strong survive. Listen to me very closely. Y'all running from obstacles when in fact it's the obstacle that's gonna take you to the next level. Like y'all running from pain, y'all running from challenges. You telling me how difficult your life is. Do you understand it is the difficulty that's gonna prepare you and take you to that next level?
To grow the individual will to become something, you must get comfortable with fear and failure. They must be your best friends. They're the only one that moves that needle of life. And the difference between a champion and someone who's forgotten is that a champion shows up. That's the only thing. Every day shows up. Gives himself a chance to make a difference.
Because success doesn't know these things about cold or early or tired. It just knows if you showed up or not.
For some of you, when you do what you do, you act as if you have another opportunity. Every opportunity is the last opportunity. You can't just say you want it. You can't watch the video and say, I want it as bad as I want to breathe. It's cute to say it, but when it's showtime, when the sun comes out, you got all the books, you got all the tapes, you got all the access. Now it's time to hunt. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But if life's got you down, I need you to get up and prove them wrong. It's gonna rain sometimes. I will. You're gonna feel discouraged sometimes. I will. No matter what the obstacle, I will. I will. I will. A true hunter's goal is not the prize. A true hunter's goal is to hunt. That's what they live for. They live to hunt. It's the whole process.
You're listening to the podcast that changed the game and rocked an entire profession. Talking about shit in law enforcement that keeps poor leaders up at night. When others run scared and hide behind fake policies, the Roll Call Room podcast tells it like it is. No bullshit. No matter how hard these Steves try, we keep killing it. And now, here are your hosts, Nick and Mark.
That's difficult.
Want to start a podcast. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of well, it's been changed now. So Roll Call Room podcast, not the Roll Call Room. Roll Call Room podcast, because we have been officially shut down as the Roll Call Room podcast. Yeah, it's so.
So is this episode 1, season 1?
Welcome to our brand new show. We're trying this out. We don't know if it's going to be successful. We don't know if listeners are going to have. This is all new to us. If you don't know, my name is Nick. This is Mark, my original co-host. We have not pissed off chiefs in the past. We have not pissed off the FBI, the FBINA, the IACP. This is a new podcast. I don't know that other Nick and Mark. We're not affiliated with those scumbags.
Hey, and we can't forget the mics. Several mic drops over the years.
A lot of mic drops. Those guys over there on the Roll Call Room podcast.
Right.
Nothing against them. I personally think that guy Nick is a dick. But
I think I had sex with him a few times.
I did. I wasn't going to admit it, but yes. So all kidding aside, folks, we have steadily realized that first our social media got shut down, and then it was pretty odd. Our social media got shut down, and then we were doing an episode of season 6, and then all of a sudden we used Anchor since Anchor first started, and then Anchor was taken over by Spotify. We have complained about Spotify's business practices since Joe Rogan has signed on. And again, I love Joe Rogan. I love his stuff. But basically what they did was to pay for his enormous salary, they fucked the smaller podcast. And when
we're assuming, allegedly.
Now that we're not affiliated to them, fuck you. So
right.
Whatever the fuck we want. So they informed us yesterday that we violated their community rules, which is kind of odd that it took you this long.
What community and what rule? We weren't told.
We weren't told, and then I spoke to customer service, and they wouldn't let me know which one we violated, so I can do it again. I mean, not do it again. And Mark and I talked on the phone yesterday, and I was like, it's like catching a serial killer after the 360th homicide, and then being like,
wait a minute, you're John Wayne Gacy, not me.
Yes, I am.
I'm more of a Ted Bundy type.
That's funny. I was going to ask you. I was going to say, if you were now, please, we have to give a disclaimer because we have a lot of folks that dislike us on the leadership side, and I don't really feel like having the FBI show up at my doorstep again. And I don't feel like getting search warrants and subpoenas again.
A
hypothetical, if you say Ted Bundy, why Ted Bundy?
Oh, well, he's younger and he's not as creepy looking as Gacy.
Well, didn't they call him the handsome killer though?
Yeah. Ted wasn't a bad looking dude. I mean, true fucking sociopath, but good God.
Yeah, have you watched the specials from him? Have you watched? Oh, yeah.
What cop hasn't? I mean, if you're a good cop, you should be watching those serial killer documentaries because that's going to help you. What am I missing on a scene? Just like I would tell my officers, they would show up and, they'd think it was a natural death. And, there's grandpa sprawled out on the couch, oxygen on him and hoses running everywhere. And you always look around the room. Is everybody equally upset? Who's the guy over there in the corner that's just like stone-faced? No tears, no emotion, no nothing. I'm like, okay, collect the oxygen hoses. And my officers are like, well, this is a natural death. And I look at them. I'm like, we're not arguing about this on the scene. Yeah. Did they put the fucking rocking chair on Grandpa's oxygen just so he just slips into the abyss? He basically suffocates to death because they want the insurance money. Guys start looking outside the damn box. But go ahead.
I mean, in my jurisdiction, in my old agency, I had the displeasure of being part of a serial killer investigation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't say it was a highlight of my career, because you know it's never good that your jurisdiction has a serial killer. But this guy was over a 10 or a 15-year period. He had killed one person 10 years prior, and they couldn't identify who he was, and he killed the sheriff's wife. So my city had a sheriff's department and a police department. Sheriff's department handled civil process, handled the jail.
Right.
So the sheriff's wife got murdered, and they thought it was the sheriff. So this guy, the sheriff, basically went into a downward spiral, became an alcoholic, and it added to the mystique, because, you know, all the shows that you watch, you're like, oh, this guy's going downhill because he killed his wife and he has all this guilt. So 10 years goes by, and then another murder happens, and happens to be a judge's sister. And then several days after that one, then there's another one. And I happen to be the sergeant on duty for the one that was right after the 10 years and the one right after that. So the second and third homicide, those were mine. And we showed up at the house probably 10 minutes after he shot and killed both people. And
oh my God.
Give you some context. Me and the officer that worked for me, we were very good friends. We're not anymore. We were very good friends. We drove together in my Suburban. We arrived on scene so fresh that I could still smell the gunpowder burn.
Yes, as you talked about it. my PTSD is kicking in, because as soon as you said that, I'm experiencing the smell of blood. Yeah. I'm smelling blood.
And it was and I've been at not a million. I've been on a lot of homicides.
So yes.
A lot of them. This one
not
was
homicides, but deaths for me. But.
Yeah. Well, I've been at a lot of homicides because all through my career in the city, I was in public housing. So there was constant homicide. Like,
yes. Well, it was constant, New York and Alexandria, right?
Yeah. New York, I saw quite a bit. And in Alexandria, I was pretty surprised when I moved from New York City down. But this one was unique because he had knocked on the door. The sister of the judge answered the door. He shot her point blank in the head, and the maid was coming down the stairs to answer the door. She didn't know that the sister of the judge had answered the door. He sees her, and he takes off. And we arrive, and we think we crossed paths as we were going to the scene. And you see it all the time on and I'll be honest, man, when I watch those documentaries and I see officers that like pass the suspect, I'm like, come on. Nah. Being a part of it, my only concern was getting there, securing the scene, and doing all that stuff. And the whole serial killer and the Commonwealth attorney who quote unquote prosecuted the serial killer didn't go for the death penalty. Super liberal. He wrote a book about it. If you want a really good laugh, go check out the book, because the front cover of it is the sketch composite, and it looks like a 6-year-old drew it. I don't know why I used that as a fucking cover of a book, but anyway.
Go for the gritty from the scene stuff.
So this suspect kills the third person and then flees and goes to the Russian embassy. Now this was before we hated Russia. Right. This was before the big.
And for the record, I don't hate Russia. They have. I don't either. They have great mail order wives. I'm kidding. It's a comedy show. Okay. Remember?
And so he went to he went to the embassy, and then the State Department was called, and then they detained this guy and questioned him, and then that's how they ultimately solved the crime. But the reason why this guy went out and killed all these people was he was part of a custody battle. 10 years prior, he was part of a custody battle. And on the warrant for the custody was the sheriff's name. So, when we execute a warrant, the sheriff's name is at the bottom, right? So he looks at the name and he goes, well, I'm going to kill this sheriff.
You just made the list, buddy.
Yeah. He shows up at the house and he kills the wife instead. And then what he did was he had a kill list. He wanted to kill the judge that signed the warrant. He wanted to kill people that were associated with his custody battle. And it was really unique because as it was evolving in our department, it was unique to see how a serial killer really is kind of solved. And it was kind of weird that it took 10 years. I honestly don't think that they would have ever solved it if he wouldn't have dusted off his gun and came back 10 years later and started killing. I think he got careless, like most serial killers do.
Yeah,
the longer that they go, the longer that they go without being caught, the more they're like, well, I'm never going to get caught.
Exactly. And I think the public has this, I don't know, perception that the police are all and ever knowing. Sadly, in the village where I was a councilman at, we had a pedophile operating there he abused kids for 25, 30 years. And they're like, that guy, he's such a nice guy. And then finally, they're one of the guys I worked with, and I consider him from, I hadn't seen him in a while. But, life just gets in the way. He just had that, that intuition's like, something ain't fucking right here. So he started digging. He had to dig far. Found the guy, and the guy's, I think he died a couple of years ago, but he died in prison. But he had just ruined lives for forever in that little village. And sad thing about it, nobody ever talked about it. I'm like, goddamn, you touch one of my kids, dude, you ain't got to worry about the court systems.
Yeah. I'll do 20 years. I'll do 20 years.
Exactly. I'll fucking take your ass out. Which is the problem. So you were talking about, that attitude, the liberal mindset, and I always talk about liberal logic and how stupid it is. The state of California is literally imploding because they can't get water, and they're draining the Colorado River because they can't get water. It's like, what's to the west of California? Oh, that's right, it's the Pacific Ocean. Why don't we just run some pipes out in there and take the salt out of the water? We have the technology. How do you think the nation of Dubai is surviving so well? But liberals won't do that. I mean, and I saw a study that where, the land has actually dropped because they've flushed out the aquifers, or, they put Braille numbers on drive-up ATM windows. What? Yeah. And the biggest thing is, being Catholic, you slaughter babies in the womb by the tons, literally, but you'll keep a convicted murderer on death row, or just put the sumbitch in prison for $75 a day you're paying to keep this son of a bitch alive. Why?
Yeah.
He's convicted. He's, how many endless appeals do you need? And real quick, and I'll get off this, but the village where I was at is Covington, Ohio. The town marshal was shot and killed because he tried to make an arrest on a domestic. They had that guy that killed him dead within 2 months. Tried, convicted, hung within 2 months. Wow. It was less than a year after he killed the town marshal. And that's the way our criminal justice system was set up, not leaving these fuckers in prison forever.
Yeah. And that's always been the issue. Like when you look at gun laws and stuff like that, which is, I don't think that I've ever seen an inner city homicide where we have recovered a firearm that the person whose firearm it was went into Joe's armory or Joe's Army Navy armory, went in there with their driver's license and a proof of address or residency, went in there and legally purchased this firearm. I don't think I've ever come into that thing. I don't think I ever have. And the issue is that there isn't stiffer penalties for being in possession of a stolen firearm or being in possession of a firearm that was not purchased legally.
Right.
And then you have the argument, we can go back and forth. You have the arguments with these mass shootings where you have long guns that are being used and they were purchased legally. They were purchased legally. So no matter what stopgaps you put, a 5-day waiting period, or that you can't buy the gun and the ammo in the same day, if you're a prepper, if you're a mass shooting prepper, that's not going to matter. You can wait 3 months. Let's take the guy from Vegas, the Mandalay Bay.
Did we ever figure out why he did that? And my conspiracy theorist is like, I think that was a setup.
They know, but they're not releasing.
They never released his manifesto, did they?
No. But you watch that documentary that they had. I think it was on Hulu, which was beautifully done. I think it was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's preparation into that was just.
He was packing this shit in. It's like, how the hell do you afford the hotel room that long? And why do they let him stay there so much?
Well, watching that documentary, the guy was a high roller. He was a high roller gambler. He
was a whale.
A tremendous amount of money. Yeah, he had a tremendous amount of money. And it wasn't uncommon for him to book a suite like that or be comped a suite like that because he was dropping, $200,000 to $300,000 at the table at a click. And you're Mandalay Bay. That guy's, like you said, he's a big fish. He's a whale,
right?
So that wasn't what was uncommon. Like that wasn't a red flag. And the way in which he brought all that weaponry into his room really didn't pique anybody's interest because he did it in luggage bags. He was very, very calculated, very, very smart in the way that he prepared it. It definitely changed the way that responses happen. I think a lot of heroes were made from that incident.
Oh yeah,
not only first responders but civilians. I think it changed the way that we look at a lot of things. That documentary, if you haven't seen it, really, really well done. It's escaping me what the name was, but
I need to check that out. I think I started watching that and then I almost fell asleep.
It'll trigger some stuff, especially when they're showing
PTS warning
cell phone cameras of the shots being fired, the sound that comes out of it, and the successional firing. And I mean, this guy was so calculated. I think he had a window busted out in the west, and I think he had a window busted out on the north. So he was on a corner room, just very calculated where he would move from one room to the other. Which really threw first responders out. And the other thing is you don't know where to shoot. Like when you're on the ground and you're a first responder, you just need to bunker down at that point.
And
that guy was not running out of. He was not running out of any ammo anytime soon. I mean, I think the hero was that security guard.
Go ahead.
I think the hero was the security guard that wound up.
Yes.
Going down the hallway and seeing a dinner cart in the hallway with a camera on it, and he wound up getting shot.
Right.
I mean, this guy thought it was the SWAT team coming. So.
Yeah. So many thoughts just came flooding in, but the biggest thing is that our criminal justice system isn't holding people accountable. So.
Yeah.
They want to talk about holding cops accountable. We talk about the lie of Ferguson, the lie of Minneapolis. But what's the actual lie right now is the fact that politicians have put soft on crime people in there. And I can tell you, I really laugh, because you got that one, was it somebody from New York, then they got their fucking car jacked and they're like, these people need to hang. Yeah, well, you were all defund the police, you stupid bitch. But now you're a victim of violent crime. Yeah. But to the criminals, you're talking about what do you do with that guy? Of course, that guy there got killed. But you have a mass murderer. I think there's a lot in visual deterrence.
Yeah.
These people aren't being publicly put to death. And they're like, oh, that's outrageous. I'm thinking, man, you just start bringing back public hangings. Make a spectacle out of it. You'll keep the population in line. And the problem is they're like, well, you're not humane. Did they humanely kill their victims? This is just where and I'm truly concerned that our society is evolving. When I retired in 2021, I stopped carrying a gun. Things are getting so bad. Our crime is getting up so much right now because our borders are so wide open. I'm carrying again. And I'm legal. I qualify every year. I'm a CCW permit holder. My state don't have to have a CCW anymore because we're
constitutional carry.
Yeah, we're constitutional carry here in Ohio. I think Florida is too, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah. With DeSantis, I think he made it constitutional carry.
So, I'm carrying again. And it's sad to have to be that way, because when you don't feel safe in your own homes at night, I got the cameras up, I'm ready to go. And I hate for my mental health that I have to get back there. And I think that's the number one concern on most people's minds right now is security and safety. And why this was allowed, the defund the police thing is just such an asinine thing. It's defund, humiliate. Now there's like nobody wants to be the police because, you libtards out there are not showing police in a positive light. You stop putting, what was the new cops version? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. On Patrol or
because the other one got
the
canceled.
The one with Sticks. Live PD, which was great. Great episodes. That. They need to bring that back, because you're not showing police officers in a positive light. And I tell you, no one ever recruited me to be a cop. No. I can tell you when I was young, first out of high school, I had a Marine recruiter call me, an Army recruiter, and I was going to go in the military. My dad talked me out of it. But then I had that calling. I want to be something that's bigger than me.
Right.
So, I got into police service. I wanted to be a cop because we grew up watching Chips and Adam 12 and all the cop dramas, NYPD Blue, just go down the list. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So no one recruited me to want to be a cop. I wanted to be the police, and I had a lot of positive role models. So we need to get back to finding that and weed out these fucking managers, the test takers that have gotten in, that have never been in a damn fight in their life, and yet they're going to try and tell me as a road dog, you shouldn't be cussing when you're fighting that guy.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Come on out, boss.
That's interesting because I was the same as you. Like nobody recruited me. I never went to a recruitment event, both in New York City and in Virginia. Cops was my recruiting. The show Cops. Like I would watch that religiously when I was a kid.
Gary Mel.
That actually
get on it, Mel.
Believe it or not, that was a pioneering episode for me. I was like, this is what I definitely want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't have that. I think what you have is you have folks that are being attracted to this profession that are doing it to fix it. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean in a way where it's a positive fix.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a lot of the left swinging liberal side going, the best way for us to fix this is we infiltrate it and we make it what we want to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have politicians that are influencing that. You have DAs and state attorney generals, like the attorney general up in New York. She just civilly sued former president, and now she's suing. I read this article this morning. It was funny. She's suing the beef industry, the number one beef producer in the United States, for their carbon footprint.
Honey, if you have to stop farting before you can start taking my beef away. Yeah, there's an agenda there. These people are put in office for an agenda.
It's so much lunacy, man. You can't walk down New York City without the fear, like it was in the 80s and the 90s. You can't walk down New York City without fearing about getting murdered or a loved one getting seriously injured. And that's in every major city now.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You got folks openly using narcotics, heroin, fentanyl crisis is out of control. The border is busting at its seams. All these different things, and you're worried about the carbon footprint of cows shitting. I mean, it's just...
Which is a natural occurrence and has absolutely no impact on the environment. They want you to stop eating beef and start eating bugs. That's what it's all about.
It's just it's scary, man. It's scary. I look at these times, and you get the same question I get, which is, do you miss the job? Do you miss the job? I miss the camaraderie sometimes, but it can be reproduced. Like the company that I'm with right now, the camaraderie, There are moments where I'm out on, business trips and out to dinner with my team and stuff, and I'm like, man, this reminds me of back when I was a cop.
Yeah.
And you could reproduce that, but I don't have anybody standing over me, getting ready to prosecute me for a decision that I made that was for the best for the public and my personal safety. I couldn't even imagine doing that now. I couldn't even imagine, just trying to do your job on a daily basis and having that fear of, all right, I'm responding to the shots fired call. If I shoot this person, I'm going to get, grand jury convened and this is going to fuck my whole life up. And then you're going to be blacklisted where you can't go to any police department anymore. I mean, these police departments are holding on to people like slaves. And I hate to put it that way. It really is. Once you're in, they own you. And if you, God forbid, want to jump ship and go somewhere else, they will do everything in their power to prevent that from happening. And when and I'm going to tie this in. And when I talk about Yellow Brick Prick and I talk about the FBI, NA, and all that other stuff, I'm not saying that if you go to the FBI National Academy, that makes you a Yellow Brick Prick. What I'm talking about is you're getting this incredible training from this incredible organization in theory. And what are you doing to bring that back to your department and affect the change that they're talking about, or the leadership? What are you doing to bring that back? And when I talk about the IACP, what are you doing? Like, you could hold all the conventions you want. You can circle jerk each other all day long. but you're not recruiting people. And then the recruitment, you're hiring 2 to 5 year officers, and that's
it's because everybody like us said fuck it and left.
Right, and it's dangerous, man. It's
very.
I just don't get it, man.
Well, let me jump in here real quick. I went to the Ohio Association, OACP, Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police, puts on they have a really good leadership path. Sad thing about it is they have a death grip on leadership training in police ranks here in Ohio. So I wanted to go through the whole thing. So when my leader boss was alive at my department, he was like, "Oh yeah, sure. Let's, you gotta get promoted first. But as soon as you get promoted, Mark, we'll get you through the door." So shortly after I promoted in 2012, he died in 2013. I had always had, I didn't realize the first one is called STEP. It's kind of your introduction to supervision. Your next one is PELC, which is the Police Executive Leadership College, which is what I wanted to go to. And then the third step in it is a certified law enforcement. Well, it's CLE, whatever. Certified law enforcement. I want to say educator, executive. That's what it is. So it's talking about being a leader, but those processes aren't weeding out the manager, the prick. And when we talk about the yellow brick prick, that's kind of a shock statement to get your attention. And I just want to reiterate, we're not bad-mouthing FBI NA because it's a great program. It's how that guy was a prick before he got there. Now he's a certified prick. It's that one individual. And that yellow brick prick was such a big, impactful show we had. Or wait a minute, those guys had on the other show, wink, blink. But, and it offended a lot of people. But it's to get in your face to kind of highlight the fact that how do you display your brick tells you what kind of person you're sitting across. And that's for the boot or the road dog that's sitting there. So where are you going with this, Mark the Cop? Where I'm going with this is the whole time there's 38 people and I shared that arena throughout that process, which it's a great process. I learned so much. I met so many wonderful people that, I consider the people I went to that class with, my family, brothers, sisters, that I'm still friends with many of them today. I went through PELC 74, for those of you listening and wondering. Everyone in that room on graduation day said, I really wish we would embrace these practices at my department because they're sending me to this school and it's very expensive. But the jackass in the corner office that wants to tell off his chief buddies, all my guys went through the leadership school. They aren't embracing what's being taught there. That's the fallacy of it. So if and where I'm going back with this is that there's nothing out there right now to I don't know, 5-star process, 1 through 10. It doesn't matter what the eval is. There's nothing to checklist this asshole off. So we were talking about fights earlier. You know, how many times you work midnight shift and you've been in a fucking bar fight, or, you know, this guy, get out of the car. I'm not getting out of the car. Okay. One way or the other, motherfucker, you're getting out of that car. You know, so you physically take him out. And I can tell you, the guy that used to lead my department, never been in a fight in his life. I don't think the guy's ever taken a punch in his face because he's always in the back. You know, he's one of those guys that just, you know, let the other aggressive officers, the hard chargers, and what are they calling them now, street thugs, you know, the guys that are actually doing the job. You know, he's always the guy in the end. Oh, well, I'll walk him back to the cruiser for you, or he'll stand there and watch you as you beat this guy's ass, or fight this guy getting your ass beat, but he won't jump in. So why aren't we employing these things? You're spending, I think it cost my city $5,000 to send me to that school. But yet we never practiced what was preached there. And it's just like if you go to FBI NA, why aren't you practicing what you're preaching? When did we stop taking care of our people? You mentioned that, you know, this officer's going to a shots fired call, and what's going through his head? Oh, yeah, if I do my job, you know, I may be getting charged right now. So you know what? I can show up on that shots fired call. I don't see nothing. Area checked, back available, or whatever your signal. Ours was signal 2. Yeah. Well, he's standing right there. You know, I don't blame the officers right now. And people, if you're a regular citizen listening to this, get involved in your city councils. Because I can tell you, in my city, I was buddies with my mayor. And I walked that fine line of protecting the department. And then I realized this is a fucking sham. I think it's time someone starts to know what's going on behind that green curtain.
Yeah.
And so when I started exposing what was going on behind the green curtain, he's like, yeah, man, go get them motherfuckers. I said, hey, you better go tell your chief. He wants us to be seen and not heard. Go, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100% with everything that you said, which is, I think when these folks find out that they're going to NA, and I don't mean to pick on NA, I mean IACP conferences too. They're not looking at it, the majority, and I'm only basing this off of my experience with people that I know that have gone to NA and the IACP conference. They're not, when they get that invite, they're not going, you know, oh man, I'm excited. I can't wait to bring back what I'm going to learn. What they're doing is the instant reaction that they have is positional equity, which I talk about in Police Mental Barricade.
Absolutely.
This is going to help me immensely in my future to get captain, chief of police somewhere else, deputy chief of police somewhere else.
Exactly.
It is, the problem is that the FBI NA has backed themselves into a corner, which is now this is just a blurb on a resume.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter whether or not you were contributing during NA training. It doesn't matter whether or not you implemented any of that stuff. And this is my thing to the FBI agent that's listening to this.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Hope you're well,
sir, or young lady, or older lady.
Y'all.
Here's the way to fix that, which is send your NA graduates away after they finish the NA. That they must within a 1-year period come back with a project that they completed. Mm-hmm. Because of your training that they implemented in their department. And if they can't present that project, they don't get their brick. They don't get their certificate.
I thought the brick was a physical fitness.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you got it wrong.
But anyway. But they got yellow bricks and blue bricks, and and that's a great concept. What did you do to go back, number one, to implement something positive at your department? And let's look at your personal evaluations from the people who you serve, not the citizens, but like from your crew. You know, how many people did you manage as a sergeant, Nick?
Oh, Jesus.
Not total, but your shift. You come into work tonight. How many people are you going to have in your shift? Okay.
13.
So I would like to see the evals for the last year from your 13 people rating you as a supervisor. And I really, to order the change to culture, to get these pricks out of the corner office and to get the leaders back in there, you need to be fucking humble. And, I knew I wasn't the best, and I knew I didn't know everything. And I knew if I had a good crew, I have to work so fucking hard because they want to do it, and you empower them to make the decisions. But I also have to be humble enough to know that I'm fucking shit up. And my job as a supervisor and as a sergeant is to be able to take care of them and make their job easier. What am I doing?
Yeah.
You don't go to director. You're the butler at that point. Because, I would show up on scene. What do you guys need? Sergeant, I need some OH1s. Oh, got it. What else you need? Ran out of gloves. Got it. What else you need? And just things like that you are making your crew's job easier. Or, hey, Sarge, we wanted to get a pizza tonight. And would it be okay? Guys, go eat. Just 2 or 3 of them back there. That's fine. I'll shag your calls and your beat. Are you sure? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My pleasure to do that. If it's a real extended paper. We don't get that anymore. Because what I'm hearing from my road dogs now, where's your sergeant? That motherfucker never leaves the office. What? There's major incidents going on, and the road dogs are out there having to make the decisions, okay? Because you don't have a supervisor on scene. They're in the office listening to the radio while the car sits out in the parking lot and idles. Well, my sergeant did this, so now it's my turn. Yeah, nice for you, buddy. Now your guys are out here fucking drowning, and they make a bad decision, just like in Minneapolis, just like in Ferguson. Where's the fucking stripe? You're not doing your job, supervisors. And that's where we need to get back involved. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, you're good, man. I mean, I agree 100%. Everything that you just said. I think the other issue now is enough time has passed where now you have people getting promoted to sergeant, and then the ones that were shitbag sergeants are now lieutenants. I see it very, very close with the old department that I came from. You look on their social media and they're holding up, their new badge, smiling next to the chief, and I'm like, that is the laziest sack of shit I've ever seen as a sergeant. Now they're a lieutenant. And you're like,
attrition, man. Attrition.
Yeah, man. It's battlefield promotions, and then you look in that department and you see the people that are really good sergeants and lieutenants and captains that just get shit on because they try and change, or they try and fight the establishment. Either they get pushed out, or they get blacklisted.
It goes the other way too.
It's a perpetual cycle, man. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up on our first ever episode is that I
feel like a Tide commercial, new and improved roll call room. Twice as sassy.
Twice as sassy. I heard some of the feedback from that old show, which was, you guys just shit on NA and IACP, and no, I don't shit on the program from that NA.
You punchlined me when I took a drink, and it came out my nose. I'm like, oh god. Woo! All right, snorting coffee this morning. Yeah, baby.
But I think the thing is that I love this job. I loved I loved that job.
Best fucking job in the world, man.
Best job in the world. When everything is clicking, it's the greatest thing in the world. But
yes, it's a thing of beauty, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science, to be honest with you. It really isn't. You come in, you go out, you try and keep people safe. You be advocates for victims that can't speak up. And as a sergeant, as a lieutenant, if you're aspiring to be one of those, you got to take care of your people. I mean, you just got to take care of people. And I had a question for you while you were talking.
Sure.
I was up on the good. When you were a sergeant, when you had evaluation time for yourself, did your subordinates contribute to your evaluation? Not that something that you came up with that was department mandated, which is that your subordinates had to give feedback for your evaluation. Was that a policy of yours?
No, not at all. And the managers there, our original one under my strong leader, and of course the guy, I make him out to be a saint, but he had a lot of great qualities, but he had some quirks too. Some things I didn't always agree with. So just to be fair, the man did many, many, many great things, but he did some things like not fire the current chief there when he was caught lying and stealing because he believed in him and he showed him some empathy. Too bad he doesn't do that to the officers that's there now. My last dig on that old department. There was no process for the upward view. The city manager at that time came up with this 1 through 5, which was fucking ambiguous. And we all know that evals are a fucking joke, because if you got someone that's sucking swamp water, you ain't got time to do a performance improvement plan with them because you're working the fucking road. I mean, and if you score this guy low, now you have to have your documentation as to why you're not going to give this guy a raise. So because of that, I wanted some upward reflection, because I always consider myself pretty humble. I know I have an enormous ego and I'm aware of it, but I always consider myself being pretty humble. So I always wanted the people that worked for me to have voice. And prior to me getting my eval by the man who never saw me or never worked with me, because we worked 6 to 6, he worked 8 to 4. Literally, only time I ever saw my chief was at command staff meetings. Mm-hmm. And I was angry the whole time I was there, because I had to get up at 2:00 in the afternoon to go sit through 2 hours of him talking about how him and the day shift sergeant were thinking. So I would present those 1, 2, and 3. So I wanted 2s down the row. So 1 didn't meet expectations, 2 was met, and 3 exceeded. And if I got a 1, I asked my officers, please give me a detailed account of how I didn't meet your needs so I can be better. All the rest of the sergeants in my agency, ain't no fucking way I'm ever doing anything like that. Fuck those guys. What? Fuck those guys? Really?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to know what's wrong? Are you? Oh, that's right, because you're perfect. But how can you improve such a great thing? Yeah, you're the worst fucking person in a management position. And one guy couldn't understand why everybody fucking hated him. I was like, everybody fucking hates you because you don't listen to anybody. You nitpick everything and you micromanage everything.
That's the worst.
Oh, he was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Or, he would kick a report back to me when I was an officer, because he promoted shortly before I did, wanting to grade my grammar, and maybe you should reword this. And I would respond back, sir, with all due respect, do you want to write the report for me?
Yeah.
This is what happened. These are my words. If I misspelled something, fine. If I had bad grammar, fine. I'm all about that. But don't tell me how to write my report.
Yeah.
Because I'm reporting the facts as I saw them at the time. He was that kind of guy. And he just kind of always walked in the room and he was like looking down his nose. Because his view was, I walk with God and you're not as good as me. And if he didn't actually say that, that was the energy that came off that guy.
That's terrible. Imagine working for that.
Oh, he was awful. He's really fucking humbled up now, though.
Oh, I bet.
He was the sergeant during my IA. He was the guy investigating me. Oof. And during my interview with him, the one-on-one, I beat that motherfucker like a rented mule. We came out of there, and off camera and off microphones, he looked at me. He's like, thanks for the fucking root canal. And I just looked at him and shook my head. I'm like, motherfucker, I had the gloves on.
Yeah,
he would come in and ask me a stupid question. I wouldn't look at him. I would look at the cameras, because the idiot deputy chief and the labor attorney was in the other room watching it. I'd look at the camera and says, "Was that what you wanted to know? Because if you did, why don't you just come in here and ask me?" God, that pissed him off.
That was the same as mine, man.
Fuck you guys.
I wasn't going down. I wasn't going down without a fight. Like my
Sorry,
interrogation.
You hit my PTS button, Nick.
No, I'm right there with you.
I just snorted a shot of coffee.
No, I'm right there with you, man. Like I don't have any regrets about my interview on my way out. The only thing I regret was not verbally saying "go fuck yourself" in the box.
Right.
On recording. That's the only thing. I mean, again, I wish I could get a hold of that video so you and I can privately watch it, and you could witness Me fucking giving a root canal to the captain who did my end. You know, like. So let me circle back. So the reason why I asked you that was at the current job that I have right now, the company that I'm with, it's actually mandatory for your subordinates to submit feedback for your evaluation. What was interesting last year was, I think, my first or second eval with this company. And I didn't know that my subordinates gave feedback. And it was eye-opening and humbling to read feedback from people that you work with all year, and how they perceive the things that you're doing. Like, you perceive it as, you know, I'm doing these things because I want to help them, and they perceive it as micromanagement. I didn't have that on me. Like, one of my major feedbacks was that my team that worked for me wanted to know on a daily basis what I was doing, because I'm at a regional level. So, you know, for them, they look at me like a chief of police, which is, oh, this guy just sits in his office all. Not that they think that, but they want to know, hey, on a day-to-day basis, what are you doing? So this past year, I made a conscious effort. Every morning we have a messaging program that we use. And every morning I say, hey, good morning, everybody, making a great day. If you need anything, let me know. This is what I'm going to be doing today. I have a meeting here. I have this interview here. I have this going on. And every day I try and let them know, hey, listen, this is what I've got going on. And I always end my message with, hey, if you want a one-on-one today, please shoot me a message and we'll schedule it. So the ball is in your court. If you want to have a one-on-one, if you want to have a private conversation with me, you should do that. You should schedule it. And it's some feedback. Really. I mean, dude.
Was that considered an open door concept?
Yeah, buddy.
Is that how you really do open door?
You could never do that in law enforcement. You
can, but you have to be there first.
Yeah. You got to want to do it.
So that just reminded me that the current chief, they did some renovations there at the old department. So I'm hearing he's putting in a door so he can pull up to his parking spot and walk straight into his office to where he doesn't. No, I drove by there last night because FD Donnie lives right up the street from the LPD. So I drove by there last night, and I swear to God, they've added some brick to that end of the department, and there's a door there now at his office. So he just pulls up to his parking spot and walks directly into his office. So he doesn't even have to go in and engage the officers now.
I laugh at that only because my old agency, we moved into a brand new building. I think it was 2012 or 2013. It was a brand new, beautiful police headquarters. And the chief's office, there's deputy chief's row. So you walk down the hallway and there's 4 deputy chief offices. And then at the end of the hallway is the chief's office. When you walk in there, the chief's secretary is in a small office. And then to get into his office requires a key card access. So you can't just storm into his office.
Oh my God. So you have to run the gauntlet to get to the chief.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So when you get in his office, on one side of his office is one door. That's his private bathroom with a shower. And then there's a door behind his desk. And for the longest time, I didn't know what that door was. And the asshole chief that I had removed, one day I was in his office and I said, hey, what's that door right there? And he goes, oh, that's the exit door. I can just exit out of that door and it puts me right where the hallway is to go to the elevator and leave. And I'm like, so you have a door to avoid
escape hatch.
Yeah, he's got a door to avoid his secretary and all of the deputy chiefs. So if he wants to leave quick, he just walks out the door. And he doesn't have to go down the gauntlet. And every deputy chief is like, hey, chief, I got something for you. Hey, chief, about that memo I sent. Hey, chief, I'm about to fuck this officer over. What do you think? You know, like,
don't use lube is what I think. No lube on that one. Dry.
Yeah, make it hard. Make it hard. If they ain't breaking teeth, it ain't worth it.
Yeah, prison rules. No blood, no foul.
But yeah, man.
But real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The concept here is, I understand large metropolitan police departments. You don't have that
You don't have that.
You don't have that. That interaction with the chief. And when you do have that interaction with the chief, it should be like meeting a rock star, meaning he should be kind. He should be, hey, how you doing? I'm sorry. And the next thing is for all you road supervisors, you should know your crew. You should know their family. Number one, what's your wife's name? What's your kids? Mm-hmm. What kind of car does your wife drive? I was at a 20-man department, and that was good and bad. The good was we knew everybody. The bad was we knew everybody, and they all knew you.
Yeah, yeah.
But my chief, at the end, my officers had no idea who he was. They didn't know what his wife's name was. They didn't know how many kids he had. They didn't know anything about him because he never came around, and he purposely avoided us. And the only time we got to see him was twice a month during council. And he stopped coming through the department. He just started coming in the front door. So if we want to fix this problem we have with police agencies, we need to start taking care of our people. And they need to start knowing who your people are. This is a people job. 100%. You're a people serving people. And through this lie of Ferguson, which is where it all got started at in 2016, is when it started to change.
Yeah.
This is where you stop being a person. You started being a number, and they started disciplining you for non-crimes, non-infractions. Yeah. When my chief came back from IACP, and he said, we have a new policy. What's the new policy? The officers are no longer to put on social media them in uniform. They're not allowed to transmit or copy or use any of our badges, logos, blah, 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 blah. I said, why? These young kids are goddamn proud to be a cop, and they want to share it with their friends. Well, it's a best practices. Who's best practice? It isn't a local best practice because these kids are fucking proud and want to share it with their friends. Hey, come join me. I'm a cop at wherever. It's an IACP best practice because some fucking yellow brick prick at IACP decided this is a good idea. He went to a seminar and then brought that policy back. Well, did he bring back a policy about taking care of his people? Nope. Go.
Well, what's interesting is I wonder whether or not that your chief attended the same IACP conference mine did, because that happened at my department too.
He was right after Ferguson.
Yes, there was an IACP conference. He came back, and then what they did was how they didn't get sued for this, I don't know. What happened was there was an officer, and I've had him on our the Roll Call Room podcast had this person on their show.
And, you mean the other one?
Yeah, the other. The imposters, Nick and Mark Cole.
Or women. Turk. I'm sorry. Turk. We're going to have to edit that.
Fucking crucified. You're going to be crucified.
Sorry. I just texted what they meant to stuck there. So whoever's editing this, please beep that out.
Nope. Hang in. So what happened with that policy was there was a bunch of officers that got married, and they posted pictures of them in uniform, getting married. This officer, who was a gay officer, got married and was in his uniform, and he got written up for it. And
because management's a homophobic.
Yes. Oh, wow. And which is surprising because Alexandria City is super, super. They're allies, or they claim that they're allies, but they went after this dude so hard, and ultimately they wound up firing him over something else. And
was this person maybe a guest on that show, the Roll Call Room?
Yes, he was.
After he left. Yeah,
yep, and
that was those were good episodes. You had him on.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He just got wrapped up in some bad decisions, and it was one of those things where the dickhead chief that I had removed, said to him, "Hey, listen, you're going to get suspended for 30 days, and then you're going to be able to come back, but you're not going to be a motor officer anymore. We're going to suspend you 30 days unpaid." And he was like, "You know what? I'll take my lickings." And then I calls him right after he gets off the phone with the chief. Same thing that happened with me. The chief told me one thing, and I get a phone call not even an hour later, and II is like, return all of your shit. You're no longer employed here. And you're like, who's leading this department?
Right.
So I went off on a tangent, but I want to wrap it up. I think the moral of the story is, hey, listen, we're here. We're going to be discussing a lot of different things, but the intention is to, one, point out that this is an incredible profession, and two, not all commanders, not all chiefs of police are cut from the same cloth. I can name multiple commanders. Travis Yates was a major in his department. Andy Harvey has been chief in multiple departments. There's been a numerous amount of people that have held leadership positions that have done an incredible job. And then the problem is that you have 98% of those that aren't doing what they should be doing. They're not helping out. They're in it for themselves. They're in there for positional equity. That's
exactly.
All it is. And so no matter how much you try and deter Roll Call Room podcast, Spotify, and all these other media outlets, they're still here. I mean,
we're going to keep pushing the message forward. That's right. And sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, you're good. You're good. I look forward to, growing this podcast. We got to live in the shadows of those other two fucking knuckleheads.
But that was some pretty epic stuff on that show. Let me tell you, the message was clear, and boy, did it rattle the cage. And how do you know you're giving the right message? Is by the amount of truth you speak and the reaction you get. So if you're trying to be deplatformed and it started with the demonetization, I think was the first thing. We're like, hey, something's going on here. Yeah, and then, what was the numbers in Yellow Brick Creek on that other show? Wasn't this in like 24,000 was the downloads?
28,000 listens. I mean, it was high. And then I think the payout for that, just to point out the lunacy of Spotify, I think the payout for that was 17 cents. I mean, it's bonkers to me.
But on the business end of it, Anchor was paying. What would an episode like that would be the return from Anchor when Anchor was running it?
Maybe a little bit more than $100.
Yeah, so you're not getting rich, but
no.
I can tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, just to put it into perspective, totality.
Right.
For the amount of time that the Roll Call Room was on the air, the Roll Call Room podcast had 385,000 listens. 385,000, and for a small podcast of just two guys in a basement goofing off, that's incredible. Just to have 1,000 people listen to it was an honor. But 380,000, and then to be shut down. I think when Spotify took over Anchor, the monetization, I think a total amount that we wound up getting was somewhere in the name of $20. And if you've ever run a podcast, it is expensive. It is not cheap.
And that's exactly where I was going. I got $2,500 worth of equipment sitting in this room right now.
Yeah.
Computers and mixing boards and mics and booms and
$200 a month. $200 a month. Riverside is, $28 a month. The website's another $26 or $30 a month. Editing software, $35 a month. I mean, it adds up, and it's truly not about the money. It really isn't. We're incorporated. Roll Call Room is an LLC. We're incorporated. We can easily do fundraising. We can do all that stuff. I've never done that. Every book sale that I have has gone right back into keeping the podcast going. So
as long as you all are there, and we appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah.
We're going to continue putting the message out, and the message is take care of one another.
Yes.
Police suicides are still at alarming rates. In hopefully our episode 2, we're going to dive into the fallacy of police suicides. We got a guest that's going to be coming on.
Yes.
That those other guys on the other Roll Call Room interviewed. We're going to interview him next month.
Yes.
And it's going to be very eye opening, and it's sad that the people that are supposed to be helping cops in crisis are only in it for the money. And doing the research on that has just absolutely broken my heart. Because you got
it gets worse.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It gets worse. The more you dig into the money, the more you look at tax returns. I know those guys on the RCR pulled IACP's tax returns. That was pretty eye opening. I remember sitting there listening to that and going, "Wow, those guys are gonna get fucking fried for doing that."
I think they got deplatformed.
Yeah. I was
telling the truth. You truth sayers out there, damn you!
You're going to get fried. And then I had heard Nick on a constant basis, his LinkedIn was being checked out by the FBI and IACP. So it was a matter of time before it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but folks, appreciate you tuning in. Some email addresses for you to reach out to us. I know these are going to sound the same, but they're not from the other guys. They are different. You can reach out to me at nick@rollcallroom.com, or you can reach out to Mark at MARC at rollcallroom.com. The other Mark was with a K, so this one is with a C.
Smarter with C's.
Smarter with a C. So, take good care of each other. Get the help that you need. Make sure you're taking good time to decompress. And Mark, I kick it over to you to sign us off.
I can't echo that enough. Take care of yourself. Supervisors, take care of your people. Know your people. If you know someone that's getting ready and wants to become a supervisor, share with them some basic books. Policemental Barricade, you can see that over my shoulder. The Courageous Police Leader, and I'll move over here and see John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. These 3 books right here, I have them up there all the time in my studio.
Yeah.
They are necessary reading, and be that legacy leader. We don't need any more managers, guys. If you want to be a manager, go work at fucking Starbucks. And some of you people that work there that became good police leaders, well, we need more leadership. We're in a vacuum. Practice the 4 F's. Family, faith, friends, favorite activities. Keep yourself decompressed. I know you guys are working a slave ship right now. More overtime, blah, blah, blah. Don't do it. I mean, what are they going to do? Fire you? That's a job.
Yep.
If they fuck you over, there's 10 people hiring right now. Take care of yourself is number one thing. There is life after being a Leo. I'm very happy after leaving law enforcement. Are you very happy, Nick?
Same.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the end of the
on my
world.
worst day.
Yeah. Sometimes leaving the cult is the best thing you'll ever do. It's the gift of life. And take care of you. I mean, we're men and women of service, but the person in the mirror, so you have to take care of first.
Yes. All right, folks, take it easy, and we'll see you on episode 2.
The deuce.